Hello beautiful souls, I trust you're all doing super well today. I've been doing some rummaging around on the internet and I found a new show. It seems we've fallen down a bit of a relationship-y rabbit hole, haven't we? We've been watching 90 Day Fiancé, we've been doing proposal fails. Because of all of this stuff that I've been watching, my YouTube algorithm is absolutely obliterated. And something interesting popped up on my feed the other day, so I thought perhaps we would watch it together. It is Holiday Love Rats Exposed, a true story. Why am I so raspy? I've never seen this programme before, never even heard of it, so I thought we would give it a crack. Of course, the very handsome Will is here with us today. He's going to stand here and silently judge, just like we are. Difference is I'm a bit more vocal about it. So grab your popcorn. I hope you're all sitting comfortably. Let's see what this is all about.
Stirling in Scotland is home to Alana Longshaw. She's 19 years old and openly admits that until recently she lacked experience in matters of the heart. That was until she met Jan. It all began in 2010. Alana was a 16-year-old schoolgirl who regularly visited Turkey with her family.
I had joined a Marmaris group for everyone that goes on holiday there. The next minute I had a message and it was from him saying hello. We started speaking every single night.
They were just online buddies, but in 2010, a family trip to Marmaris on the southwest coast of Turkey transformed their relationship.
I felt myself melt. I was just like, oh my God.
Soon after her first trip, she persuaded her mother to return to Turkey so she could spend more time with Jan. But holidays were not enough, and lovesick Alana set her heart on moving to Marmaris for good.
I wasn't happy at all, but even though she was young, she still had the opportunity to do whatever she wanted to do, so I had to just go along with that.
I spoke to my mum about it and I said I really need to go, and she still disagreed, and I told her I'm 16, if you don't let me go I'm just going to go anyway.
So Alana had her wish, and in 2000...
She was 16 years old and her mum let her go to Turkey by herself to live there with some dude that she met on the internet. What?
Jeannette Sayers also thought she had met her ideal man abroad, but her holiday romance turned out to be even stranger than fiction. Following the death of her husband, Jeannette remained single for 7 years. But in 2004, her life would change forever during a holiday with a girlfriend in Sorrento, a small Neapolitan town in southern Italy.
We'd planned where we wanted to see, didn't even think we'd have time to be involved in any holiday romances, either of us.
But on her first night out, Jeannette met a handsome stranger in a local bar. He said his name was Rudy Sloot.
He came across as a polite gentleman, really.
Sorry,
that he actually
that was a great name though.
President in the White House as Men in Black. He said, I'm an undercover agent. We said, oh, you mean like James Bond? And we both burst out laughing. No, he said, genuinely, that's my job.
Oh, shut up. Look, if you were actually working for the Men in Black, like, you wouldn't tell people, would you? Did she really fall for that? Come on now. The whole point of having that kind of job is to keep it secret. It's not a secret if you tell everyone.
After their holiday romance, Rudy bombarded Jeannette with texts and phone calls.
He said, I think I've fallen in love with you. I'd really like to carry this relationship on.
He asked if he could pay Jeannette a visit in the UK. She agreed. But he ended up staying.
It was like we'd been together for years. I thought, this is the relationship I'd love to be in.
Rudy claimed he was still working for the US Navy from a UK military base. And according to Jeannette, he had the credentials to prove it.
There's a badge off his naval uniform.
Why has she still got this stuff?
A badge for his car, supposedly to get into the military base.
But Jeannette was about to find out it was all too good to be true. In January 2011, at the age of just 16, Alana Longshaw moved to Turkey to be with her dream love, Jan. Wedding bells were soon on the horizon. Instead of getting engagement rings, they had his and hers tattoos. For a while, everything went smoothly, but soon her dreams of marriage began to turn sour.
The money was running out, so it started getting more stressful between us. So he started to go out more and leave me in. So he would go out with his friends and then come back with not a penny.
Towards the end of their time together, Alana says Jan became violent towards her.
We were arguing a lot more, and then he started shouting about where I had been and who I was with. And at that point he just lashed out and slapped me across the face. I was so shocked I couldn't think what to do, so I tried to grab my passport and run out the room, and he came after me and grabbed the back of my hair and pulled me back in again.
In August 2011, she decided enough was enough and ended their 8-month relationship to return home to Scotland.
It kind of sounds like they were actually in a relationship. He wasn't trying to scam her, but he's just, a bit of a bastard. It doesn't seem like he got anything out of her. Like, she went to his country. It's not like he was trying to get into the UK or he was trying to get money out of her. I imagine that her mum gave her some money to go to Turkey with, like to live off of until she could get a job. It sounds like, because she was saying when money started to run out, so I guess she had a lump sum. It's not like he took it and then, or certainly the way that this story has been relayed, it doesn't sound like he took her money and then did a runner. They just, two young people, inexperienced in relationships, got married. I think they got married. It sounds like they did. And it just didn't work out because he started getting physical with her and started slapping her. I don't know if this is like a scammer situation. It certainly doesn't sound like a scammer situation, does it?
Jeanette Sayers' dream relationship also took a turn for the worse.
This guy definitely sounds like he was trying to get into the UK.
He just nagged me into getting this car for him, so I finally gave in. The car was just over £16,000, which was more than I'd ever paid for one of my own cars.
Jeanette went on to spend even more on Rudy,
Yeah.
who always promised he would pay her back.
This guy's a
She
scammer
started
for
to
sure.
have doubts about their relationship, and things came to a head when one night he arrived home drunk.
I'd walked over to the sink in the kitchen and he went, "Get back here now." And I went, "No," I said, "Put my cup in the sink." And he picked me up like you would pick a child up and plonked me back down on the chair. He said, "You don't know what kind of life I've led." At that point, he went off to the bathroom. I picked the phone up and dialed 999. He came back out of the bathroom and seen that I'd grabbed the phone off the wall, and he ran across the kitchen and grabbed the phone off me and said, "What have you done?" And within about 10 minutes, 2 police cars turned up.
Now, if you were in that situation and you felt unsafe in your own home because there's a man in there who's being aggressive, would you phone the police and stay there, or would you leave? She used a landline phone to call the police. It was a phone on the wall, she said. So we're talking about a landline phone. So it sounds like this was... I can't remember that. I feel like this documentary is bombarding us with information and there's no time for me to process any of it. I forget the year that this went on, that she found this guy, but it sounds like it was not before mobile phones or like cell phones, but it was before smartphones, I think. It sounds like she probably had a mobile phone, but people were still kind of using their landline phones more. So in those days, people weren't carrying, like they weren't glued to their mobile phones, is my point. Her mobile phone could have been anywhere in the house and she may not have known where it was. Whereas nowadays, people always know where their phones are and have a small panic attack or a large one when they lose their phone, they misplace their phone, they don't know where their phone is. It wasn't like that when people were using like Nokia phones, you know what I mean? I can kind of understand if her first thought wasn't, I'm going to grab my phone and I'm going to leave the house so I can phone the police when I'm no longer in danger. But even so, wouldn't you think, I'm going to leave the house and then I'll think about how I'm going to get help? Go knock on a neighbour's door, ask if you can use their phone. Use a phone box. I know it's her house, but why did she not remove herself from danger? Because surely him discovering that she's phoned the police is going to create more problems. I don't know. I feel like what she did there was not a smart thing to do. At the same time, I know it's very easy to sit here and think about something very rationally when she wasn't necessarily in a situation that she had the opportunity to think rationally about it. It's you just gotta react situation, and people don't always make smart decisions in those kinds of scenarios. So I do understand that it's easy for me to sit here and say, yeah, but wouldn't it have been better just for you to have left the house? Perhaps that just didn't cross her mind.
Whispered to me, is there an incident going on here? And they said, just nod or shake your head, and I nodded, and they asked me to step outside. The next thing I knew, they put the handcuffs on him and brought him out of the house, and he was looking at me. To this day, I think that look he gave me, if looks could have killed, I would have dropped dead then on the scene.
Rudy was placed under arrest, and the police later told Jeannette he was a wanted man.
I am absolutely disaster with men. For some total reason, I always seem to attract the wrong types. I have no idea why. I always seem to attract the ones who just want a good time rather than the ones who actually want a proper serious relationship.
Can I just say that you get what you put out? She's putting out an energy that's attracting what she's getting, because you create your own reality, right? Whatever you put out is what you get back. So she's like, oh, I'm always attracting the wrong type, so I've no idea why. It's her. I'm not placing blame. This is not about like pointing a finger, but you create your own reality and you draw people to you based on your own energy. So she's putting something out that's drawing in people that she doesn't want. So she needs to change something in here, and then things out here will change in turn. Just saying.
It was nice. I was getting chatted up by guys sort of in their 20s, and they are good-looking guys, most of them. It made me feel I was attractive, and there was something, you know, obviously they saw something in me that, made me feel good.
Despite the attention,
She's putting something out there.
Valerie was not looking for a holiday romance. But then she met a man who would change her mind.
I met Ergun Tulek, who actually calls himself Marco. He came across as a very professional man. You know, he took me out for nice meals. I suppose one thing led to another, and we got to know each other, and we basically started a bit of a holiday romance.
Ergun, or Marco, said he was a jeweller and also claimed he'd worked for the Turkish Special Forces. Valerie thought the relationship was getting serious. She says he gave her a ring, which she took as a sign that marriage was on the cards.
He came back with this ring that he claimed.
Why have you still got it? She's just put it on. Sorry. What do you do? Why do you still have that? Why haven't you sold it or given it back to him? Or okay, we don't know the whole story, but it's just she just casually slipped it on. Like, I'm very confused where her sanity is.
Over the next 3 years, Valerie said she handed over large sums of cash to Marco.
That was the motorbike that he persuaded me to buy, £500. And, it would be our motorbike. Well, we used it once, so I never saw it again.
Valerie says she then loaned him £5,000 and that Marco told her he needed the money for a licence so he could carry on trading in gold.
He actually sat there on the beach and he cried his eyes out. He says, I'm going to lose everything because I can't afford to renew my gold licence. Carried away with the emotion of the situation, I lent him the money. I was always asking him, when am I getting this money, when am I getting this money? Oh, well, he said, I've got some business transactions happening. There was always a good excuse and there was always something that was coming and that never did. It was in the 3rd year I was becoming disillusioned with it.
You were giving him money for 3 years, large sums of money for 3 years, and at no point did you think, I didn't get my money back, maybe he's scamming me. Okay.
Ergun says he never asked Valerie to marry him. He also denies receiving any money from Valerie, and instead claims she owes him money. Valerie says this isn't true. The couple broke up in 2001 without Valerie receiving back any of the money she said she loaned to Ergun. Then the wife of Marco's cousin made a shocking revelation.
She actually brought me into reality and told me about his wife. I learnt an awful lot about the guy that I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with.
Our research has revealed, Ergun Tulek fathered a child with his Turkish common-law wife during the time he was in a relationship with Valerie. He now has a total of 9 children with 3 different women. Jane Cole from Rothwell in Northamptonshire claims she also had a love rat experience. It all began in 2005 during a dream holiday to Africa.
So what are you up to today?
Not a lot. Just have this done, do shopping, then do a bit of packing when I get home.
Are you going away?
Yeah, Gambia.
Oh, wow.
Well, she's got the personality of a
Gambia is in
dishcloth.
West Africa and is known for its weather, beaches and friendly people.
At least you go out there with a brand new hairdo.
Yeah, I won't recognise it.
Jane's troubles began during her first trip to the country. She wasn't looking for love, but she was aware the Gambia did have a reputation for holiday romance.
In the paper you read that there's women going out there and they're coming back on one plane and the guys are meeting somebody else off the next plane coming in. I thought, well, that wouldn't happen to me because I'm worldly wise. When it all went out for me, and then we got our drinks, and Vanessa said, somebody over there keeps looking. What do you... Oh, I said, no, I can't be bothered. You know you like. Well, then he come over and asked me to dance.
Can't be
He called himself
bothered.
Michael.
What a
Originally
phrase.
from Nigeria, he was working in a Gambian nightclub.
Oh, come
She was
on.
56, he was 28.
I'm sorry, Jane, but did you ever look at this and think, this is real? I'm speechless, and that is very rare for me, as you well know.
He said, do you want a drink? So we had a drink. Stopped there all night talking. He was asking where I come from. I think at that time I probably just thought it was just an holiday romance, you know, and I'll come home. And that'll be the last I hear or see of him.
I mean, she's seriously got the personality of a wet dishcloth. How could she think that this was real?
It soon became clear Michael wanted to turn their relationship into more than just a one-night stand.
At the hotel, he'd left a note. Hi, come by to see you. Can you give me a call? Here's my number. And then I arranged to go to the beach with him the next day. So he'd come and pick me up, carried me back. Quite the gentleman. He was charming, he was attentive, nothing was too much trouble. He just made you feel special. And towards the end of the week, I was completely drawn in.
So what began as a holiday romance had developed within months into a serious relationship, and eventually marriage was on the cards.
I mean, look at the face that she's pulling. That's interesting, isn't it? I think there's a lot of psychology in this photograph. He's like, I got one. And she's like, oh shit, really? Wow, this is actually fucking happening. I think that's what that expression is, isn't it? This is mental.
But Jane kept her plans secret from the one person she was closest to, her younger sister Tracy.
I knew she'd met somebody, but I knew nothing about him. She was very evasive about, you know, who it was or anything. And I knew she was
looks
going away to
comfortable.
Gambia, and she was going with friends, and they was all whispering. And I said, what's going on? She went, nothing. I said, you're going to get married, aren't you? She went, no. And off she went to Gambia. Then when she come back, she told me she got married.
After they got married in 2006, Michael suddenly announced he wanted to move into Jane's home in the UK, rather than live in the Gambia as they'd planned.
I was shocked.
There it is.
And I
You
was a
were
bit
shocked.
Because I thought,
Shut
I've done
up.
all this to start a life in here, and now it's not going to happen. But I've married him, I'm happy with him. If that's what he wants, then so be it. I did think, is he married me for me, or is he married me to get to England?
Oh, come on. Obviously, it's for a visa. I'm being really mean. I'm just... It's so obvious. And the only reason I'm finding this amusing is because it is so obvious, and how silly can someone be? I feel like she's really lacking in self-awareness, and this is what's led her to this situation. Seriously.
When Jane called a UK telephone number, found repeatedly on his mobile phone bill, her suspicions were confirmed.
So I said, well, I'm ringing you up to see why your number's on my husband's phone bill so much. So she said, who's your husband? I said, Michael. She said, Michael's my boyfriend. So I said, but how long have you been with him? She said, 6 years. So I rung him up and told him to get his bags packed and clear off. And he thought it was funny when he came in. He said, you know, people look at us and laugh when they see me with you. Well, my confidence went down even more. I was absolutely devastated. Absolutely devastated.
We have made contact with the woman Jane spoke to, and she has confirmed she was in a relationship with Michael during his marriage to Jane.
She probably knew about it, didn't she? They probably planned it together, like, oh, I'll just meet some, no offence to her, but like some old girl, you know, who's got some money and is alone and lonely, and I'll make her feel like a princess, and then she'll bring me back to the, like, I'll marry her, and then we'll come to the UK, and then I can be with you. I bet that's what happened.
Jeannette Sayers also feels emotionally betrayed. She believed Rudy Sloot worked for the US military intelligence.
Rudy Sloot.
But after his arrest in 2005, following an incident at her home, the police revealed the truth.
Yeah, what was his crime?
He was a sophisticated conman who'd committed a series of previous offences and was on the run from Interpol. Rudy Sloot was not even his real name.
No shit.
Psychologically, it's been a lot to deal with.
Now 19. And mum to 2-year-old Aydin, whose father is her former Turkish boyfriend, Can.
I knew nothing about babies at all. I'd never even held a baby before. It wasn't the way that I wanted it to be. We weren't together and I was only 17.
So, this 19-year-old girl, sorry, love, I've forgotten your name already. I feel, I know I said this a minute ago, but this documentary is like information, and I'm like really struggling to keep track of who's who and who's with who and whatever. But she had a baby with her abusive Turkish husband, who I guess is now probably her ex-husband. She had a baby with him.
Alana says Jan has also threatened to snatch her son and take him back to Turkey.
He said, if you don't bring him over to see me, then I'm going to come over there and take him. It's really upsetting and disturbing, and I try not to think about it. I would do everything that I could to make sure that he'll never come over here, ever.
Calculating conman Rudy Sloot used his relationship with Jeannette Sayers to make his way into the UK. He was arrested at her home, but once on bail, he went on the run. For 3 months, Jeannette carried on living in the house they once shared, in constant fear.
Why did they let him go?
To sell up and move out.
They must have known he was a flight risk.
This is where I used to live. He still had a key to the cottage, and I remember coming home one night from work and the kitchen door had been opened and things had been moved in the kitchen. Then one of the neighbours said he had actually seen Rudy in the village, so I instantly froze and I felt I had to move.
Valerie Bamping from Newark says she lent large sums to the man from Turkey she thought she was destined to marry.
£4,000 from a credit card.
And the more she thinks about it,
The 5,000 for the gold licence.
the more she's come to believe Ergun was taking advantage of her.
All these crazy stories that he came up with that I actually believed. He never asked me would I give him the money. It was always, could he borrow this? And I said, well, on top of everything else, oh yes, but I will get you everything back. I will get you everything back. I just need this to tide me over.
Ergun admits he and Valerie had a good time together, but says any money spent by Valerie was on herself. He also denies withdrawing £4,000 from Valerie's bank account using her credit card. Jeannette Sayers also says she spent thousands of pounds on conman Rudy Sloot.
The money probably I spent on him.
I'm sorry, just every time I hear his name.
£19,000 easily.
Mr. Sloot.
Not more. Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Jane Cole, who married love rat Michael on holiday, usually tells her sister Tracy everything.
That's quite nice. No? About that? No.
But in 2006, Jane didn't tell her she was spending thousands of pounds on her new husband, including money to help set up a taxi firm in the Gambia.
I did think to myself, I've just got a bank loan out for £15,000 for our car. I brought a minibus, £3,500 for the minibus. It was just a waste. I thought that's like £18,500 gone.
Oh, she's just got no personality.
Michael. the car she'd bought him, the money she'd given him. And all the time I'm getting angrier and angrier.
All I kept doing was giving and giving and giving until I had nothing left to give.
Valerie Bumping has discovered reports of other British women who met Ergun in Marmaris. In these reports, the women claimed they too believed he was unattached and went on to hand him substantial sums of money.
Oh, how I became a real-life Shirley Valentine. It is him. Handsome Turkish gentleman. Yeah, and the rest.
Ergun Tulek disputes these reports and claims one of these women is now his business and life
I
partner.
mean, no offence to the guy, but he's not very handsome, is he?
Popping up on here, it really does.
Jane Cole knows the emotional cost of a financial meltdown can push people close to the edge. Her mounting debt resulted in her being declared bankrupt in February 2007.
He took everything. He took everything from me. Emotionally, he drained me. I was already on Prozac then, and I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't even tell the doctor what was about me because I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't believe that a man could treat you like that.
I think probably I was scared that she'd probably try and take her own life or something because she was in such a bad place. I mean, I know she probably wouldn't have done, but that's how low she was. And to see her like that made me bad. Do you know what I mean? It made me upset because she's supposed to be the strong one. She's supposed to look after me.
That jumper really doesn't suit her. She looks very, very comfortable, but she's just like a head, you know what I mean?
Love rat experiences. But do they feel they played any part in their own downfall?
I do blame myself a little bit for being foolish enough to end this relationship with him and let it carry on the way it did.
I'm annoyed that I fell for it. I'm supposed to be an intelligent person. But on the other hand, I think to myself, chalk it up to life's experience.
I never had an inkling that he was seeing another woman. I felt like I was some stupid old woman.
Oh,
You're degraded, you know. How can you be so stupid as to do what you do?
I really, really couldn't tell you.
The only feeling of guilt I have is for Aidan. One day I'll need to tell him, maybe know what happened, but I will have to explain in some way why Jan is not here and why things never worked out between us.
Jeannette Sayers is still rebuilding her life in Whitby.
Good girl.
Her new partner, Adrian, is a professional chef. They met 9 years ago.
So I was at work and one of the lads there, David, he said, there's a new lass just started. She's really nice, I think you're going to like her. And I was making a cup of tea, got talking to Jem, and that was the start of it, just over a simple cup of tea at work in the kitchen.
But Adrian knew nothing about Jeanette's nightmare foreign romance.
I had to tell Adrian about what had happened
Certain
because I
events.
didn't want him to find out off someone else.
It was like a film script. The way you described it, it was much like a film script.
Yeah.
But it didn't sound 100% believable to start with, you know what I mean?
After being arrested, Rudy Sloot was placed on bail. He then went on the run for 3 years, but his luck eventually ran out in Cumbria.
Everywhere I went, I was always scared I was going to bump into him. And I got a phone call from the detective that had been on the case. And he said, I hope you're sitting down. He said, you're not going to believe it, but he said he's actually been caught.
Jeanette's holiday love rat pleaded guilty to deception and perverting the course of justice. On the 12th of September 2008, he was sentenced to over 2 years in prison. A year later, his sentence was extended when he was convicted of 4 further counts of theft and deception.
Okay.
To have new friends and a new life and a new partner, it was...
Oh look, they've got matching jackets. That's cute. Aww. Oh, that's so sweet.
Jane
I'm
Cole has
glad
also
she's found
been through
somebody.
a traumatic experience, but this hasn't put her off returning to the place where her problems all began.
I'm packing my suitcase.
I just can't take this woman seriously now.
With some friends. Bit of sunshine. Really looking forward to it.
But she's also aware that she could cross paths with Michael in the Gambia.
She wants
where he
to.
was last seen
That's
by
why
her
she's
sister
going back
2
there.
years ago.
But if I did see him, I'd like to confront him and ask why why he treated me so bad.
Yeah, there you go. See,
See
she
that?
wants to bump into him. If I bump into him, then... Oh.
I believed everything he told me. If he'd have told me I ain't got another woman, I would have believed him. If I'd have saw him with another woman and he'd have said, that's a friend, I would have believed him.
Jane's experience has had an impact on her ability to trust. It's a recurring theme among victims of holiday love rats. Conman Rudy Sloot may have been put behind bars for his crimes against Jeannette, but the emotional damage he'd inflicted put a serious strain on her relationship with her new partner, Adrian.
Why are you
Because I had
keeping
this
that
trust
stuff?
issue with Adrian. Every time he was late at home, or he said he was going somewhere, I wanted to know where he was going, when he was going, when he was coming back, because I was comparing him to Rudy.
I mean, Jen's got violent with me in some points, haven't you? Because the trust issues with things. I mean, I've had scratches on my face from you and scratches down my arms and all sorts. I did put up with a lot. Normally I would have walked away. But because of what Jen had been through, I made allowances. And it was hard.
Sorry, you made allowances for her being violent towards you? I mean, it doesn't matter what you've been through, what kind of trauma you've experienced. Being physically abusive towards somebody is not okay. Any way you slice it. I don't care what you've been through. Doesn't matter. And he said, I made allowances because I knew what she'd been through. No. But she saw a therapist, okay?
Just to get it out of my system, basically. And it helped a lot. It did help, yeah.
Hopefully she's not being physically violent anymore, or just violent at all in general.
Alana Longshore is also coming to terms with life after her love rat experience. She came back to Stirling pregnant and has since discovered more about her ex-boyfriend Jan's post-breakup relationships. In July 2013, he appeared in the national news in connection with another young British teenager.
I just seen the headline and seen his face, and I just remember thinking, oh my God, what has he done now?
In a newspaper interview in summer 2013, Murat Janatani described himself as a bad boy and admitted he can't stay with just one girl for more than a few weeks.
I started getting the messages about all the different girls that he was going to meet. I would say all in all it was about 15 different women. He would say things like, after Aiden was born, me and my new girlfriend are going to have a baby and it's going to be better than the baby I had with you.
What?
All messages relating to a new girlfriend all the time.
What? What a weird thing to say.
Also still bears the psychological scars of her time with the con man she knew as Rudy Sloot. But who was he?
It's actually spelt Sloot. That's amazing.
Job, and he took this guy's identity.
Rudy also used the name Anthony de Klerk, and while he was on bail for the crimes against Jeannette, he conned other innocent victims.
He's gone on to the Lake District area and applied for a job as a chef. He said he'd stolen £20,000 from the safe and had racked up £21,120 on debit cards.
The police caught up with him, and he was convicted for these further crimes. Detectives have now revealed his real name is Peter Van Dam, that he was originally from Belgium, and that he targeted people right across Europe. More than 1,000 people each year become victims of dating scams, so Jeannette is not alone.
It's a relief,
Only 1,000?
obviously, to know that I haven't been as foolish as I think I've been. That I'm not the only one, and there's hundreds of people out there.
I don't think that she's really to blame for this. I think she was just, her husband had passed away. She'd been alone for 7 years. She went on holiday, she just met a guy, and that, one thing sort of led to another. She's obviously a very sweet, lovely lady, and I don't think that she's to blame here at all. I think that she was very naive when it came to giving him money, but that statistic is very interesting. I appreciate that this documentary is, I want to say this documentary is like a handful of years old now. So those statistics are definitely going to be different now. I feel like they're going to be a lot higher, but to say that 1,000 people in the space of a year have been scammed, like victim of a dating scam, I think those are very, very low numbers. Only 1,000, and she's one of that 1,000.
Jane Cole has finally arrived in the Gambia. For her, it's an idyllic holiday destination that over the years she has grown to love.
It's laid back, beautiful weather, nice beaches.
Oh, I just realised she was getting her hair done. She was getting her highlights done to go back here because she's trying to like, that's why she's getting her hair did before she goes on holobobs, because she wants to find Michael. I mean, she says she wants to ask him, why have you treated me like this? But really, she wants to recreate something with him. I mean, let it go. He scammed you. Why are you going back there to find him? Let it go. Dishcloth.
The first time I went out was very difficult, very, very difficult. Emotionally, it was awful because everywhere we went is where I'd been with him.
Well, why'd you go back there then? Go somewhere else.
It is like confronting memories, and it was hard. I thought, do I want to be here? Because there's too many memories here. I just thought, I need to get on with my life and try and move on.
The Gambia is well known for holiday romance. But the more Jane uncovers about Michael's past behaviour, the more difficult she's finding it to forgive and forget.
He was living with a woman here. She bought him a car. I spoke to the woman after we'd split up. I came here to a friend's wedding. Should I you, Jane? I said, yeah. She said, I didn't know he was seeing you, Jane. I didn't know that he was married. She said, I did see him with you at the airport once, and he told me that he was your tour guide, and if I came over and spoke to him, he would make out he didn't know who I were. And I thought, yeah, I can believe that, because that's the sort of person he was.
We've tried to contact Michael to ask him for his response to Jane's allegations, but he could not be traced.
I think we're nicely now setting our ways, I would put it.
Some people call it getting old.
Yeah, like he said, it's like getting old, but it's drawn us together, really, really drawn us together.
They've now been engaged for 8 years, but Adrian hopes that one day Jeannette will finally agree to be his wife.
I'm just taking it slowly, so I know I can get to know him properly before I make any big.
I mean, you've known him for 8 years. Oh, you've been engaged for 8 years.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point you got to just bite
Jeannette
the bullet,
is
right?
just one amongst an army of people targeted each year by holiday love rats. Many victims choose to suffer in silence.
When I think about Marco now, it's just contempt that I feel for him. He's such an arrogant sort of person.
Just think, he's pathetic. He's a pathetic man who thought he was better than everybody else.
Make sure Aiden has everything he needs and just be a role model for him and show him the right way so he never ends up in a horrible situation or ends up a horrible person like his dad is.
I suppose it makes you a bit wiser when something like that happens to you.
Does it?
I think, well, it ain't never going to happen again. Hopefully it won't.
But you're back there. What are you doing? What a roller coaster. That woman, Jane, seriously, like, why are you going back to Gap? I don't know. I just oh, it's made me wiser. Things like this make you wiser. Does it? It hasn't worked on you. Well, as always, thank you for being here with me today. Do check out the members button below and the Patreon link is in the description below. I'm sure you'll find something there that you like. Thank you so much to my wonderful members and patrons. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for your continued support. Will and I are wishing you an amazing day. Make it awesome because you're awesome. And remember that you are loved and you are important. And I will see you in the next one.